Hello again, everyone. I promised ages ago that I was going to make another video about my experiences with doctors and mental health, and I'm finally getting around to it. I'm sorry there's been such a delay. Yeah, anyway, doctors. It's a bit of a sore subject for me because, like I'm sure many people, I have had some really, really bad experiences with doctors and some really good experiences. But I feel like if I, just talk about what I've gone through, then maybe someone else can relate or can kind of learn from my mistakes, hopefully. Okay, so I have been suffering with mental health problems since I was about 12 or 13. And at first I was sort of very reluctant to do anything about it because it scared me and I didn't want to admit it. But when I was at university, I thought, okay, right, it's time for me to actually do something about it. Um, the first doctor I saw was okay. She just put me on Prozac. She was the kind of person who was like, okay, well, let's just throw medication at the problem and it'll be fine, which didn't work out in the long run. After that, they got progressively worse. After my Prozac stopped working, I went to see a doctor at uni and she basically said, oh, I don't know what you expect me to do about it. That's not part of my job. Really? Okay, fine. I went to another one and yeah, she was worse. Well, first of all, she wanted me to have social anxiety. I don't know why. She really, wanted me to have social anxiety for some reason. She sent me away with this sort of quiz that I had to fill in about social anxiety. And I came back and I said, I really don't identify with this. Yeah, when I'm depressed, I don't want to talk to people or go out, but that's because I'm depressed. When I'm okay, I'm fine talking to people. Um, and she said, oh, well, that's a shame. We could have done something about that. Um, oh, yeah, she was really bad. Basically, she didn't want to do anything. She was saying, oh, well, I could refer you to a psychiatrist for a consultation to get a diagnosis. But to be honest, it would take ages and, it would be quite disruptive to your life. And, I feel like there's no point in getting a diagnosis because all they would do is diagnose you and then say, oh, but there's nothing we can do about it. Honestly, I didn't know how waiting to have an appointment would be any more disruptive to my life than crippling depression, but yeah, there was no telling her that. And after that, I saw one doctor who said I'd run out of options. And then I got referred to, he was through my university, but he was basically some kind of therapist, doctor, lifestyle coach person. I don't know, but he was really bad. He was the worst one. First of all, he said that self-harming is just a coping mechanism, and who are we to judge other people's coping mechanisms and what's right and what isn't? Okay, that was my first warning sign. Then he said, I was telling him a bit about my problems, and he said, well, yeah, I understand that, but I understand that you're anxious about finding a job once you leave university when, you have these issues, but why not just find a job that accommodates that? Well, okay, why did I not think of that before? Those jobs out there that allow for people who, suddenly burst into tears for no reason and sometimes just can't face going in without warning. Why didn't I think of that before? I am such an idiot, silly me. And I explained to him quite calmly that actually I would rather not feel like I want to kill myself most of the time. And he said, oh, well, you've chosen to feel this way, so, it's up to you really. I think you just need to change your attitude. Yeah, I kind of left his office, burst into tears, and then I had to go to the pub and have a large vodka, which is a bit bad seeing as it was still technically morning, but I really needed it. Um, God, thinking back, I don't know how I just kept going and how I kept persisting, because it was just awful. And I went to see a counsellor, and she said, well, the reason, doctors aren't going to help you because you're not bad enough, because you've never actually really tried to kill yourself to the point where you've been hospitalised, because you've never been sort of a threat to anyone else. You're kind of not worthy of concern. And she wasn't saying that to be mean. She was telling me the truth. She was being honest with me, and it sucks. But her saying that was sort of a wake-up call for me, because I was thinking, why aren't these people helping me? Why aren't they, they're supposed to be doctors, they're supposed to be treating people, but they're just dismissing me. And it got to the point where I was almost scared of doctors. I got so anxious about going, even though, I don't know, for some reason I kept doing it, and I'm really glad I did, but I kept pushing myself to keep going. But it was horrible, because it's like you're going in and you're auditioning almost. You've got to sort of be good enough, be worthy of the help, prove that you're not coping enough, that you need them to believe you. And if they don't want to, then they're not going to. And it's horrible, because you just go away feeling so defeated and just so ignored, and it's really bad. This video isn't meant to sort of bum people out, because a couple of years ago I found really, really good doctors. So they are definitely out there, they really are. My doctor straight away said, okay, we're going to put you on this, medication, but we want you to come in every week so we can monitor you, and we're going to refer you to the psychiatrist. I finally got my bipolar diagnosis. They've been brilliant, they really have, and I've never felt like they didn't believe me or they were dismissing me. So don't completely lose your faith in the medical profession, and I'm sorry to anyone in the medical profession who I might be offending by this video. I'm just talking about my personal experiences here. I know that there are some brilliant doctors out there who really do want to help you. Basically, I'm making this video because I wasn't prepared for this. I really wasn't. I was shocked at the way certain doctors treated me. And I don't want anyone else to have that experience. I want people to go in knowing that this might happen, because you know that you can kind of prepare and you can steel yourself and you might be able to cope better. And I just find it really shocking how awful people can be, and I just think it's dangerous, to be honest, that potentially dealing with really vulnerable people who maybe, like me, had been struggling with problems for years and years, and finally got up the courage to go and do something about it, and then to just be turned away and said, oh no, you're making it up, you need to change your attitude, there's nothing we can do, we don't care. It's just awful. And knowing, being told that it's, because you're not bad enough, I mean, what kind of an answer is that? It's just, people who are sort of at the point where they just don't want to go on anymore. That's a very dangerous thing. And I think, well, what are doctors like that responsible for? And it makes me incredibly sad. And luckily I got through it. But I mean, there were days where it was really desperate, and I would say to myself, I want this to stop one way or the other. One way was finding a good doctor and getting the treatment I needed, or there was the other way of making it stop. And I really just was at the point where I didn't care which one. I mean, I did care because I kept going to see different doctors, but yeah, it got really desperate for me. And it is traumatic, because you're going in there and you're sort of laying your soul bare, and you're telling this person you've just met things that you haven't necessarily told the people who are closest to you. So it's very scary, and yeah, I just want people, unlike me, to be prepared for that and be prepared to fight, which is hard if you find it hard to get out of bed in the morning. But while you can't think yourself happy, you can take all of that negativity and pain and sadness and anger and turn it into, well, not exactly fury, because it's not good to like go in and beat the doctor up if they don't treat you very well. But just, it can give you that edge, that steel that you need to really fight your corner and say, no, bullshit, you need to help me. Because, I mean, I know that there are times when I should have fought, but because, this is a doctor and you expect them to know more, I just sort of sat there in silence and just went away and cried afterwards. But thinking back, yeah, I should have said, well, no, either you help me or you refer me to someone who will, because I can't go on like this. So that's really why I wanted to make this video and sort of share these experiences with you. Another thing that I wish I had known is, and this isn't universal, but in my experience, doctors associated or affiliated with a university might not be the best ones to go to for mental health problems. And I'm sure that there are plenty of university affiliated doctors who are brilliant at this, but I'm just really wary of offending anyone terribly. But in my experience, they have been the most dismissive of me. And I think it's probably because university doctors get a lot of people coming in who've run out of time on a deadline and want a doctor's note. And I think some kind of mental illness it's easier to get away with saying you've got something like that, can I please have a doctor's note? Because there are no physical symptoms generally. So I think they're sort of prepared for someone to come in and start, bullshitting them. So whereas non-university doctors, general practitioners, I think are more likely to be more receptive. Another thing I wish I had known is to do research beforehand. There are lots of online forums for mental health issues, whether it's medication or just general support, and you can go on there and try and find out about doctors in your area who are known to be really good with mental health problems, which is what I did in the end. And I wish I'd known that at the beginning. It would have saved me a lot of time and heartache. So yeah, do your research. Be cautious about what kind of doctor you go and see, and be ready for a fight. But yeah, don't be aggressive. Just should throw that one out there. So yeah, that's basically my experiences and my 2 cents about doctors and the mental health industry. And I mean, hopefully things will improve. Hopefully, as awareness of mental health problems rises, then more doctors will become more enlightened about how to treat people with these issues. But until then, yeah, there are some really bad ones out there, but there are some really good ones. So just, I know it's hard and it's painful and you feel so defeated and so neglected, and it's the most painful thing ever when you're already suffering so much. Keep going. Please just keep going. I'm so glad that I did. Really, really glad that I didn't take the other option of getting out. Okay, well, yeah, I think that's it. Upcoming videos. I really like, some feedback on what people would like to hear me talk about. Again, I can only talk from my point of view, but yeah, that would be good. Aside from that, I'm thinking of doing something about addiction and about therapy, and about, what was the other one? Yeah, well, I've got a couple of ideas to come up, but yeah, any suggestions would be more than welcome. Okay, I'll see you again soon. Bye.